Coming to my personal story, I was born in Krakau, Poland in 1928. I all moved to Krakau. This is the buildings that we lived in Krakau. The third window on the ground floor was my bedroom, actually. So it was in September of 1939 that suddenly I heard the whole building rumble like an earthquake. It was shaking. And I ran to that window, and when I looked out of the window, this is what I saw. I saw tanks rolling down the street. There was no fighting. If there was any fighting on the border of Germany and Poland, it didn't affect us. They just marched right in. And after the tanks, there were half-tracks. On top of the half-tracks, there were soldiers. And every few steps, one of the soldiers would jump out and get on the sidewalk. This is how they occupied the city. Following the half-tracks, they were the foot soldiers, the Wehrmacht, with their shiny black boots. Believe me, it was quite impressionable for a 11-year-old. I wasn't quite 11, 10 3/4 at the time when this happened. And it didn't take very long. In fact, 2 days after occupation, a truck pulls up to that gate. The center, there's a gate, and there's always a super who lives in these buildings, and they started to bang on this gate. And as soon as the super came running out, still tucking in his shirts, what's going on? He saw a bunch of SS men with a truck, and they were yelling to him, "Tell us where the Jewish people lived." That's all they wanted to know. And he was quick to oblige. He showed them that we lived on this side of the gate, to the left, going in to the left of the gate, but to the right of the gate, 2 windows are still visible. They also had 3 windows there. Was another young family. So as soon as they heard where we lived, they actually broke down the doors, came in. That was 5 a.m. in the morning. We were still in bed, and they started to pistol whip everybody. In their hands, they held sacks, and they yelled at us, "Raus, schnell, schnell, the Juden." Called us all kind of names, Schwein, pigs, dogs, all kind of things. Throw in all your valuables. So they saw a lot of valuables like candelabras or anything that had value, silver or silver trays or silverware. And they threw it in those bags. And any money, any jewelry, art, whatever they can fit in there, they started to pull in. Gold, silver. My mother had a necklace, and I remember she had a ring, a wedding ring, of course, that was pulled off. The necklace was torn off. While this is going on, we hear a tremendous screaming in the apartment next door where this other Jewish family lived. They had a young mother and father, and there were 2 daughters who I remember after school we would play in the yard. And they recently had a young infant boy. And we heard that infant started to scream, and this monster was screaming, "Make them shut up," and so on. When Lola, my sister Lola, and I heard it, we snuck out to see what's going on. And what we have seen in front of our eyes, we'll never forget. It's always going to stay with us. We saw this monster holding the babies by its legs and swinging it, and yelling at the parents, "Make him be quiet." Only he didn't use such nice words. And of course the parents were screaming, "My baby, my baby." And with a smirk on his face, I'll never forget that face. Like he took pleasure in what he was just about to do. He twists the baby head first into a doorpost, smashing its head into pieces, killing it. You should have seen that all of us, the mother, the father, all of us jumped on this monster. Of course, everyone was pistol whipped and beaten down. this was the first taste of Nazism. In fact, I believe that probably his buddies, these Nazis who saw this happening, were a little surprised themselves. Because right afterwards they packed up. He says, come on, we're game, schnell. They're leaving. And they packed everything into these trucks and they disappeared. That was our first taste.